This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Let's talk about this offense, because the defense, figuring out what they need to do on the bye week, it's not hard. It's not something that's out the realm of fixability. But this offense, it's really tough to talk about, because to be honest with you, I don't know specifically if the problems I'm seeing are actual problems with the offense, or just things that pop up, right? And every offense, every NFL team has a problem with it, and they have things that pop up, right? Sometimes it's like, there's nothing you can do about that. That's just going to change over time, right? Like, for example, the biggest criticism of the Cleveland Browns right now is play calling, right? I think that's where a lot of people who are angry at Kevin Stefanski want him fired. A lot of the complaints, or the main complaint I hear, is that he can't manage a game and that he can't call plays. I think it's a fair way of summing it up. Now, I'm pretty sure they want to add other stuff to it, but that's the gist of most of the complaints with Kevin. And I really don't know where to stand on it, because you can point out some areas where he had some play calls that you don't like that he did, but then you can point out some areas where, like, yeah, he caught this play, but it clearly wasn't executed well. Like, this guy's not doing what any offense would define him doing, and it feels like a weird mess. And I think part of the mess, unfortunately, has been the fact that they've had no consistency at the quarterback position. Now, the reason there's been no consistency at the quarterback position has been, one, small sample size. I think that's the biggest factor why you have had no consistency. Small sample size. Deshaun misses a game with injury. Deshaun also has a game, the first game of the year, where he can't really throw the football because of the monsoon, of the rain, and everything else that was in that game. And then you have really 2 games to evaluate, and those 2 games could not be further different from each other as possible, right? You have that awful, sluggish, dookie Monday Night Football game that he threw up there that we thoroughly broke down in a 1 hour and 10-minute film breakdown, where a lot of the issues in that game weren't play calling related. It was play execution related, as the plays were relatively open almost all game, right? Now, I haven't been able to look at the DTR tape yet. That video is coming out soon, so I don't know if the play calling was the issue, but I'm going to tell you right now, from a cursory glance, I don't think that was the problem with DTR on Sunday. I think DTR just had a bad game, and that's kind of to be expected from a rookie 5th-round pick in hindsight, right? But with the whole play calling thing, it's hard to get a grasp on it, because there's 2 games we have to evaluate of Deshaun. One game he looks awful, one game he looks excellent. What am I supposed to make of this? Now, I know there's people who want me to factor into 2022 games and act as if that's part of this same season, but there's a reason we're not doing that, and we know that's not fair, because he was coming off a 700-day layoff. It's not the same offense he's running right now. Like, it's incredibly unfair to lump those in together. So really, we're talking about 2 games of evaluation for Deshaun Watson, and it hasn't been consistent for those 2 games. It's been wildly on this side, wildly on this side. Have no idea what to expect of him. Have no idea what to expect of him in the future. And that's not the greatest place to be in when you're talking about a quarterback who's making $230 million and who is supposed to be the franchise quarterback. You want to feel sure about it, but the circumstances around getting him make it so we're in this position. So we just got to wait and see. It's not a fun operation. Now, what do I think structurally they can do to help him? Again, it's impossible to know if this is a structural issue, because you just have 2 sample sizes of games. So when it comes to the whole Deshaun Watson thing, I think this is not, look, it's fortunate in one way that the bye week is right now, because Deshaun's hurt. You need him to get healthy. Thank goodness you got the extra week, right? On that end, it's fortunate. On another end, it's kind of frustrating that the bye week is happening right now because we don't. What are we really going to evaluate with Deshaun to try to go into this bye week and tinker around with? We just don't have enough to know what are the actual problems that he's having, what needs to be tinkered with. Because look, once he gets into the flow of the offense, there are going to be adjustments that are going to be made on him that he's going to have to adjust to. There's going to be tinkers that he's going to need to be his optimum self. And it would be lovely if you could have that information available to you at the bye week. But unfortunately, we're talking about, again, 2 games to really go off of. So you have to just make your adjustments on other positions that you feel like you know more about based on what you've been able to glance at the film with, right? Like, I think the run game, it's a problem, right? I thought that they would be fine with Jerome Ford, but I don't think it's a personnel issue. I think this is an issue of structure. With this run game, they're running a lot of plays as if Nick Chubb's still there, as if these running backs are Nick Chubb. And here's a fun fact for you. This offensive line is not playing any worse than they did last year, right? If you look at the pressure percentage for the quarterback, it's the same exact pressure percentage. If you look at the run blocking, the yards before contact for all the running backs, it's 2.7, which is the exact same that they had last year. This offensive line has been gotten a lot more criticism because I think their failures or their flaws are a lot more visible because Nick Chubb's not there to buff them out, right? What Nick Chubb's presence does is it slows down pass rushes because guys are kind of worried about it being a draw to Nick Chubb, or they're going to run it, or they're going to throw a screen and get the ball in Nick Chubb's hands. So it slows down defenses. And also for your offensive line, it makes you look brilliant because Nick Chubb, he's just going to break through. He's going to find holes that don't exist. Like, he's that good. And this is where we get back into our conversation about if running backs matter. Nick Chubb is a prime example on why running backs should get paid if they're at his level, and they should get paid just as well as wide receivers, because a dude like Nick Chubb creates things for your offense, creates problems that your offensive line no longer has to deal with because it creates problems for the defense. Like, it just makes such a difference. And I think the number one thing we underestimated, I think the coaching staff, the fan base, everybody involved with the season, was the impact of losing Nick Chubb. It wasn't just the rushing yards you were losing. It wasn't just the production you were losing. You were losing somebody who commands the attention of the defense. And when you don't have him, and then you lose your starting quarterback, you have a problem because nobody commands the attention of a defense. And when you're playing a team, and we've seen this with our defense, when you're playing a team that has nobody that commands your attention, you can't have easy schemed up throws, right? That's been a buzzword. Kevin needs to create easy schemed up throws. Well, not having Nick Chubb dramatically changes any offensive coordinator's ability to have easy schemed up throws. You notice that the throws for Pat Mahomes, they look a lot more difficult now that Tyreek Hill isn't there, right? Hey, Andy Reid's a great offensive coordinator. We know he's a great offensive coordinator. But why is it that the throws for Pat Mahomes look so much more difficult since Tyreek Hill has left? It should be obvious. Because Tyreek Hill stressed defenses. Because Tyreek Hill made defenses break their rules in a predictable way that you can scheme guys underneath those rule breaks to create easy looks. See, easy looks aren't drawn up because an offensive coordinator is a genius. They're drawn up because a player can stress a defense in a way that forces them not to play regular football anymore. That's what easy schemed up throws are. So you lose Tyreek Hill, you lose the easy throws. But you know who got the easy throws? Tua. Say this as my main point. That is the impact of not having Nick Chubb. Nobody is pressing about anybody on this offense in the same way that they pressed about Nick Chubb. Nobody is going to break the rules of their defense because of anybody that the Cleveland Browns have lined up. Amari Cooper's a good player. He's not anybody who's going to force defenses to break rules. Elijah Moore, not even close to that at this point. He can develop into it, but that's a hard, far way away from where he is right now. Not saying he's garbage, but he's just not. That's a high level. Amari Cooper's far away from that. And he's really good. Donovan Peoples-Jones, not even close. To that, Jerome Ford, not even close. Like Deshaun Watson a little bit, but like that's if he plays closer to what he did against Tennessee. Yes, he can make defenses break rules. Yes, that can open up some things, but still, this is going to be an offense that's going to require the quarterback to make plays. And this does not make anybody comfortable. For Deshaun, I'm pretty sure he felt like, hey, having Nick Chubb, I'm going to get some of these easy throws. Well, that's not the case anymore. You're going to have to make plays with your arm. You're going to have to make some incredible throws while also being safe with the football. And your job got a little bit harder, a lot harder. It's why DTR looked like garbage when he got out there because, again, nobody was making the defense break any rules. So them throws ain't going to be easy. The offense doesn't have as many rule breakers as they did pre-Nick Chubb injury, so they have to figure out a way to, one, allow Deshaun Watson to see the field as clear as possible so he can make the best possible play. So that means more empty, way more empty, spread it out, getting that gun, and they have to develop a gun run. They have to develop a way to get 3 or 4 yards consistently from the gun. They have to develop an RPO. These are the things that will stress a defense in lieu of having no personnel-based defense stressors. If you want to stress defenses, if you want to make defenses worry, you have to develop a gun run. You have to develop a really potent RPO game. You have to have Deshaun Watson playing at a high level. These are the things you can do. The reason the RPO game is so important, especially when you don't have Nick Chubb, is because it forces teams, if ran well, to respect the run from 2 different angles. So now you have an edge rusher who's trying to stop a quarterback run or chase a running back run. So that stops that guy. You also have a corner who's worried about blitzing from the nickel position because then that leaves a bubble wide open. Or maybe it's a linebacker that's worried about blitzing because it might be a RPO into a post. Or maybe it's the other edge rusher who's worried about crashing because Deshaun could pull it and go around him. This is how you create that. And the Browns have not had, since they got Deshaun Watson, any semblance of a potent RPO game. They have to be able to develop that. They have to be able to develop a run gun game. They have to be potent out that shotgun. Now, I'm not saying they need to average 6 yards or 5 yards of carry. Nick Chubb ain't walking through that door. I understand that. But they do need to get a smooth 4. Like a consistent 4 yards. Whoever, and I don't care who it is. It could be Jerome Ford. It could be Kareem Hunt. It can be Pierre Strong. It could be Zeke Elliott. It could be whoever can do it. You need to find somebody who can get you a smooth 4 out that gun run to keep defenses honest, to keep them from clouding, to keep them on their feet. Because if you cannot do that, they're going to scrunch out on you, cloud you, and make your life a living nightmare because now you're asking Deshaun to throw into the tightest windows possible because nobody respects your run game. You can't make linebackers lose their depth and play closer than they're supposed to be to open up some middle field. You can't make the defense break their rules unless you have a good run gun game and a solid RPO game. That's what you're going to have to do to replace that factor that you're missing from Nick Chubb in this offense. And that's what it's up to them to develop in this bye-week period. Now, again, it's going to be tough to do because the thought is after Deshaun gets back, you're probably not going to have him run a ton more unless it's obviously there. Or you're going to have to trust Deshaun to slide, which he has not been trustable in doing so far because he doesn't. Tell me, have you seen him slide? I've seen him do it twice. This is what they have to do. Like, the impact of losing Nick Chubb, I think we just boiled it down after a couple of weeks to rushing yards, and even I did that. No, it's a little bit more severe than that. You have to find a way to stress these defenses with the running attack, and you'll do that with RPOs. You'll do that with gun runs, and you'll do that by Deshaun just playing well as a quarterback in the pocket. What you're not going to do it with is what they've been trying to do it with, right? The end arounds, they ain't stressing nobody out. Elijah Moore in the backfield ain't stressing nobody out. Nick Harris in the backfield ain't stressing nobody out. Just being exotic is not stressing anybody out. Get back to the fundamentals of it, right? I think sometimes we try to do all these exotic traps and we play off of this. It's going to pull this guy and this guy. And we act like the other team's going to respect Elijah Moore as if they've watched him in camp. Like, that's not going to happen. So a lot of the gravity that you're relying on for Elijah Moore to get for any of that to make sense, it's just not happening. So back to fundamentals, back to basics. Gun run, RPO. You do that well, you'll get the gravity you want, and then you'll be able to do a fun little end around or maybe a little push pass or something like that. Then you can get cute. But right now they're trying to supplement the gravity that they're not getting from having Nick Chubb by having all of these exotic run plays in, and it just sucks. So that's the main thing, right? I don't care to parse or argue about Kevin's play calling, because I've been doing this long enough to know that that's not a conversation that anybody can have any real insight on. Like, it's just a conversation of feeling like I just didn't like that play call or that, but it's not a real conversation of any insight. What I will judge whether I think Kevin should be fired off of is if I see these things get developed or don't. These are concrete solutions that you could look at and go, hey, this just didn't do anything to fix this gravity problem. And that's a more fireable offense than calling an end around when you didn't want an end around called. Like, that's supplemental, right? This is the actual sickness. So if you want to fix the sickness, I think that's a much better, more standard approach. Just back to the basics. Get that gun run. Again, just a smooth, solid 3 and 4. Just first down, you can get ahead of the sticks. Second down, you can get the 3rd and 1. Just a smooth, solid, dependable gun run. Okay? Inside zone. You know what I mean? You know what it is if you played Madden. Just a smooth, dependable inside zone that you can check into. All that stuff. That's what you need. And some RPO packages to go off. Not gimmicky RPO packages. I'm not talking about like, let's get gimmicky with it. Let's run guy. No, just a smooth, like a RPO alert bubble, a RPO alert burst. Alert post, like just some regular old RPO stuff to kind of get a foundation off of, and then you can build off of it once you see how defenses are reacting to you. But you need to create that gravity for the run game in order to have this offense work. And right now they don't have any gravity. So that's the biggest issue, I think, for this offense. And that's what they could use this bye week for. Install some of this stuff. If it's not installed, I hope it's installed. That would be crazy if it wasn't. Install it. Get it fixed, get it perfect, and then just start running it in games, and figure out how you could be successful with it, because that's how you're going to create it. You need to find out which one of your 3 running backs can run inside zone the best. I don't care who it is. Not invested in who it is. Could care less what jersey number is running that inside zone, but somebody needs to be able to run it and get 3 to 5. Well, get 4 to 5 a carry. Somebody can do it. The numbers tell me that if you have 3 running backs on the right, somebody can do it. Who's that somebody going to be? Or is that somebody just chilling on the street? Or do we got to get Dearness Johnson up in here? Like, somebody can do it. Find the person who can. We can't do wide zone. We don't have Nick Chubb. We can't throw 13 out there to get this run game going. Like, that's just not going to happen. We're going to have to kill the run game and get the run game going with surprises. Like, that's where we at. Hopefully we make that adjustment. If this team does, I think the offense can stabilize itself, stop turning the ball over so damn often, and really help this defense take over for this early part of the season, so that when they get to like November and this stuff is fully developed and they have things playing off of things, then it starts to get deadly. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day.